We start with some very important breaking news. Satellite images available with NDTV. The first real images of the actual disengagement of Chinese and Indian forces in Ladakh show the removal of Chinese structures in both Depsang in the north of Ladakh and Demchok in the south. Indian soldiers, in fact, have been prevented from reaching their patrol points after the clashes of 2020 in Galwan. Now, after the agreement to restore patrolling rights, Chinese structures have been removed from both of these areas. In fact, these are visible proof of the agreement recently announced, and that is being implemented. Vishnu Shom, my colleague, joins us with more details on this. Vishnu, can you tell us how would you describe what are these images trying to show?
Well, this is very, very significant, and it does, in fact, prove fairly conclusively that the process of disengagement, which was announced by India's Foreign Secretary first in Kazan, then by the Foreign Minister at the NDTV World Summit, and then, frankly, agreed upon and reiterated by both the leaders, Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Kazan, that is actually taking place. So let me describe what you're seeing on your screen. These are the Depsang plains. The Depsang plains lie along the line of actual control, right to the north of Ladakh. The image on the left-hand side of your screen shows approximately 4 vehicles and a couple of tents, tarpaulins, if you like. This, I believe, is in a place called the Y Junction, or close to a place called the Y Junction, from where Indian soldiers were prevented from actually traveling east in the direction of their patrol routes. The patrol routes, or what are called the patrolling points, or PPs, are in fact the extent of the line of actual control which India claims in these areas. If you look at the picture on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see those tarpaulins having been removed completely. The vehicles which were stacked are moving away. There are other vehicles also visible. And the landform itself where the tarpaulin was placed has been righted, has been fixed. That's part of the agreement. Let's go to the next set of images. And this shows the Demchok area. The Demchok area is in the very south of Ladakh. It's not too far from Himachal Pradesh. This is another area where there have been consistent differences between India and China. But if you look at the image on the left-hand side, this is on the 9th of October, 2024. You can see a couple of structures. These are Chinese buildings, semi-permanent structures, which marked an area where the Chinese had built these structures. It's disputed because India also claims this area. But if you look at the right side of the image, you can see that, this is from today. So these images are just a couple of hours old. These have been removed. And therefore, this is quite clear. These images coming to us from Maxer at a request that we put in for these images based on what we learned was an ongoing process. And this actually tends to suggest that the process of disengagement, at least in these 2 areas, is well and truly underway. This does mark the beginning of a huge set of confidence-building measures, which would now be put into place between India and China. What we saw in 2024 was terrible, absolutely. We saw the loss of so many Indian lives in Galwan, Chinese lives lost as well, huge differences on the line of control, Indian soldiers being prevented from getting to their patrolling posts. And then fairly out of the blue, we've seen this agreement after dozens of rounds of military talks, which were unsuccessful. Finally, diplomatic talks, I would suggest, along with some military talks, which were taking place in the background, enabled an agreement to be reached at between India and China. Now, while we don't know all of the aspects of the agreement between India and China, the fact is that this disengagement is taking place. India believes it's a complete disengagement, which has been called for. This will enable India to actually patrol in these areas. This isn't to suggest the Chinese soldiers won't patrol in these areas. Again, the exact nature of the agreement, which has been arrived at, has not been disclosed thus far. But a very, very welcome signs indeed that what we are now seeing is a return to the pre-2020 situation. Vasudha.
Shom, for joining us with those very critical details. Indo-China disengagement announcement happened, and of course now structures are being removed. That important break by Vishnu Shum on NDTV. Moving on, National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah has called out Pakistan as the source of terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir and has warned Pakistan to put an end to its constant attacks. In fact, he has urged Islamabad to find a way to be friends, otherwise issues, he says, will arise. This happened after 3 soldiers were killed in action in a terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Baramulla today. In fact, 2 porters have also been killed in this attack while 3 others have been injured.
Paying homage to fallen heroes. 3 soldiers and 2 army porters killed in action after they came under attack by heavily armed terrorists at Botapatri in Baramulla district. A massive cordon and search operation is underway to track down the attackers involved in the deadly ambush on an army truck on Thursday evening. This is the second major terrorist attack in the valley in the last 1 week. On Sunday, 7 workers, including a doctor, were killed after terrorists attacked a campaign site of road tunnel workers in Gandarbal district. Since June, there have been over a dozen attacks on the army in Jammu and Kashmir. While the Jammu region was mainly affected by such attacks, the Botapatri ambush is an indication that the Kashmir Valley may again be target of Pakistani-backed terrorists. The recent surge in terror attacks has exposed Pakistan's hypocrisy once again. While its political leadership recently made all the right noises as External Affairs Minister visited Islamabad for the SCO summit, its army and its proxies continue to shed the blood of innocents in Jammu and Kashmir. Former Chief Minister and National Conference leader Farooq Abdullah has blamed Pakistan for the attack.
हम पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा बनने वाले नहीं हैं, तो ये कर किस लिए रहे हैं? हमारे मुस्तकबिल को खराब करने के लिए, बर्बाद करने के लिए। वो खुद बर्बाद हो रहे हैं, हमें भी साथ बर्बाद कर रहे हैं। और ये मैं उनसे जो इसमें घायल हुए हैं, शहीद हुए हैं, उनको श्रद्धांजलि पेश करता हूँ और उनके ख़ानदानों से माफ़ी मांगता हूँ कि ये हो रहा है।
The Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor, who is in charge of law and order and security in Jammu and Kashmir, has asked the army for swift action to neutralize attackers. The spurt in terror incidents has come after the elected government took over in the region. While Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has strongly condemned the attack, he has literally no authority over police and law and order as long as Jammu and Kashmir remains a union territory. While a massive counter-terrorist operation has been launched in larger areas of Gulmarg, dealing with mountain warfare and battle-hardened terrorists is posing a serious challenge for the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. With Nazir Masoodi, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Moving on, just days after returning from BRICS, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called out global forums like UNSC in his joint address with the German Chancellor today. And he was talking about Russia-Ukraine war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday met the German Chancellor and he discussed a wide range of issues focused on improving bilateral strategic ties. But the key highlight of this joint presser was this big message to global forums by the Indian Prime Minister. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi minced no words and said that it is time for reforms in global forums such as UNSC, which have so far been incompetent in stopping wars like Ukraine and Russia.
यूक्रेन और पश्चिम एशिया में चल रहे संघर्ष हम दोनों के लिए चिंता के विषय है। भारत का हमेशा मत रहा है कि युद्ध से समस्याओं का समाधान नहीं हो सकता और शांति की बहाली के लिए भारत हर संभव योगदान देने के लिए तैयार है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि 20वीं सदी में बनाए गए ग्लोबल फोरम 21वीं सदी की चुनौतियों से निपटने में सक्षम नहीं है। यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल सहित अन्य मल्टीलेटरल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में रिफॉर्म्स की आवश्यकता है।
The world of the 21st century is something where progress is a question we have to work for. But in a multipolar world, there is no global policeman, no single watchdog monitoring our common rules and institutions. Each and every one of us is called upon to defend and uphold them. If Russia was to succeed with its illegal, brutal war against Ukraine, there would be repercussions far beyond Europe's borders. Such an outcome would endanger global security and prosperity as a whole.
As the bilateral talks between India and Germany concluded today in the national capital, Prime Minister Modi's comments on UNSC, the United Nations Security Council, in not achieving any kind of ceasefire when it comes to two global conflicts, one between Russia and Ukraine and the other in the West Asia, has assumed a lot of significance. The Prime Minister said that UNSC as a multilateral body has failed to achieve or to conquer peace in two regions in the world which have been on fire due to the conflict which has been going on for a while now. First, regarding the West Asia, where Israel, Hamas and now Lebanon has also been dragged into the war. The second being Russia and Ukraine. And this statement was made in front of Germany's Chancellor, Mr. Olaf Scholz, who is here in India for a two-day visit. While Germany backs Ukraine in this conflict, India's position has been very clear. Indian Prime Minister has sort of taken efforts to bring both the parties, both the President, Mr. Putin, as well as President Zelensky, for the peace efforts. And that is why the Prime Minister said that India is ready for any kind of initiative when it comes to achieve peace or to ensure a ceasefire kind of agreement in both the cases. And this also assumes significance in the backdrop of the statements made by UK Prime Minister Mr. Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron in the last month's UNGA, when everybody was backing, or most of the nation leaders who attended UNGA backed the fact that India also deserves a permanent seat in the UNSC. But with this criticism of the Prime Minister, it will be interesting to see that how many Western leaders back this statement, because we have seen that how United Nations have not been able to achieve any kind of peace, whether be it in West Asia or between Ukraine and Russia.
Moving on to some news from pole-bound Maharashtra, a blockbuster political battle is brewing in Mumbai with Aditya Thackeray, son of Uddhav Thackeray, set to fight the charismatic ex-Congress MP Milind Deora, who jumped from the Congress party to Eknath Shinde's breakaway Shiv Sena faction in January. In fact, Milind Deora gave substance to the speculation with a Friday evening post on X saying, "It's early now." The Shinde Sena, however, is yet to confirm Mr. Deora's candidature, but Thackeray Jr. holds this Worli seat and he has already been renominated from there. This is a Shiv Sena stronghold, and this will vote along with the state's 287 other assembly seats on the 20th of November.
It is going to be an interesting Sena versus Sena battle in Worli constituency. Milind Deora all set to take on Aditya Thackeray. In fact, Milind Deora, who was a veteran Congress leader, had jumped ships and joined Eknath Shinde Sena just early this year due to disagreements with the Congress party. Of course, he was an MP from South Bombay both in 2004 as well as 2009. He also served as Minister of State, a very experienced politician, now going to take on Aditya Thackeray in assembly elections. He will be representing Worli constituency. Of course, Aditya Thackeray made his electoral debut just in 2019, emerged victorious. Worli had been a Sena bastion for quite some time now, and Milind Deora is somebody who wields a lot of influence as far as South Bombay is concerned. We know for a fact that Milind Deora ended Deora's, long association, 55-year-old long association with the Congress party just early this year. His father, Murli Deora, had been a minister, had been representing South Bombay, had represented South Bombay multiple times as an MP, a post which, of course, Milind Deora was among the youngest MPs in the year 2004. Of course, a very experienced leader, very charismatic, a very popular leader when it comes to South Bombay. So is Aditya Thackeray. So therefore, a very, very interesting contest there, and also a three-way fight, because it's not just Sena versus Sena, but there is the MNS equation also. Sandeep Deshpande of the MNS is also going to be contesting against these two veteran leaders. So yes, Worli constituency battle is something that will be interesting to watch out for.
Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is in the Muda muddle yet again. In fact, his wife has been quizzed today. Karnataka Chief Minister's wife appeared in front of Lokayukta and she also recorded a statement. Karnataka Chief Minister's wife Parvati appeared in front of the Lokayukta investigation officer in Mysuru today. This is with regard to her involvement, alleged involvement in the Muda scam case, and her statement was also recorded. Meanwhile, the Muda scam may be seeing an intense political fallout in Karnataka with an ongoing ED and Lokayukta investigation. But this case has also hit the real estate industry in the city, with many developers complaining about delay in clearances for many projects. My colleague Pratibha Raman has this report.
With the shrink in travel time between Bengaluru and Mysuru, the cultural capital of Karnataka was reaping the benefits when it came to real estate. But not anymore. The Muda allegations have put not just the Chief Minister on the back foot. Many developers in this city are in the dock with delay in issuing khatas or release orders for site registration.
The real estate market is in a bad shape today. Lot of new projects which were supposed to come in has been stalled. One is the Muda meetings are not happening, and the second one is issuance of the kata. DC has passed an order stating that the katas shall not be issued by Muda, and it is by respective panchayats or the local bodies, because the major of the maintenance or the fees that has been collected by Muda, and we can't do it.
The developers were promised Muda meetings, but with the recent resignation of Chairman K. Marigowda, they are left in further limbo. However, the Karnataka Minister for Urban Development refused to acknowledge this.
Real estate people and builders also facing problems, same problem. Where? In Mysuru. I don't know about
Mysuru, which was once the real estate hotspot in Karnataka, has now turned into a no man's land. While the Muda authorities are already being dragged into investigations, the developers are wondering if they could drag them into court as well if their issues remain unresolved. With bureau inputs from Mysuru, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Well, Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia on Friday met protesting wrestlers, and he assured them that they would go to the World Championships. In fact, the government has approved the Indian wrestling team's participation in the World Championships. This is after athletes sought the intervention of the Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia following the Wrestling Federation's withdrawal of entries due to a legal challenge. In fact, Mansukh Mandavia also spoke on this. He said, and I quote, "A group of wrestlers met me and apprised me of the issue and their concerns. I gave directions that the court matter will continue in court, but the wrestlers must also compete in World Championships and they should get this opportunity. Whatever and wherever I need to speak, I have done that." That's what the Sports Minister said today. Let's listen into that. And also my colleague Osama spoke to Sanjay Singh, who heads the Wrestling Federation. Let's listen into that conversation as well.
आज पहलवान के ग्रुप मुझे मिले, विषय मुझे बताया और मैंने डायरेक्शन दिया कि कोर्ट की मैटर कोर्ट की जगह पे चलती रहेगी, लेकिन मेरे भारत के रेसलर पहलवान वो वर्ल्ड चैम्पियनशिप खेलना चाहिए, उसको जाने का अवसर मिलना चाहिए। और जहाँ भी ज़रूरी कहने की आवश्यकता थी मैंने बातचीत करी है और हमारे रेसलर जाएंगे, खेलेंगे और मेडल लेके आएंगे।
सर, संजय सिंह जो हैं उन्होंने अपने लेटर में रेसलिंग बॉडी जो वर्ल्ड रेसलिंग बॉडी है उस लेटर में कहा था कि देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ इंटरफेरेंस फ्रॉम द स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री। ये चीज़ के ऊपर कोई डिस्कशन हुआ है, कोई क्लैरिटी है इस मीटिंग के बाद?
सरकार के बहुत क्लैरिटी है। कोई भी फेडरेशन अपने हिसाब से अच्छा काम करे, चले, सरकार उसको मदद करती है। देश में स्पोर्ट्स आगे बढ़े, हमारे प्लेयर नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस करे, यही देश की अपेक्षा है, यही मिनिस्ट्री की अपेक्षा है।
I have with me the Wrestling Federation of India Chief, Mr. Sanjay Singh. सर, आपकी अभी स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर्स के साथ जो है वो मीटिंग थी, क्या बात हुई, किस तरह का डिस्कशन था और क्या एग्जैक्टली उसका निकला है रिजल्ट?
एग्जैक्टली ये निकला है कि टीम जाएगी उन्होंने स्पष्ट कहा है कि खिलाड़ियों के हित में और देश हित में आप टीम को भेजिए और जो भी कोर्ट केस है उसके लिए हम लोग लीगल देख करके उसके बारे में बात करेंगे।
सर, कोर्ट केस के बारे में जो चर्चा हो रही है, कंटेम्प्ट के ऊपर जो कोर्ट केस हुआ है एटसेट्रा, उसके बारे में कोई बात हुई है? उसके बारे में कोई डिस्कशन हुआ है? क्या रिजल्ट निकलेगा उसका, नहीं निकलेगा?
उसके बारे में बात हुई है। उसको बोले अपने लीगल से उसको देख करके उसमें क्या डिसीजन लेना है, क्या करना है उसको करेंगे। खिलाड़ियों के हित में, देश हित में करेंगे। मंत्री जी ने ये आश्वासन दिया।
सर, आपके फेडरेशन के फ्यूचर को लेके कोई डिस्कशन हुआ है? क्या कोई बात हुई है कि इसका सस्पेंशन हटाया जाएगा, नहीं हटाया जाएगा? क्या उसके बारे में डिस्कशन हुआ है?
उस पर भी बात हुई है। वो बोले हैं कि वो कोर्ट में केस जो है उस कोर्ट केस का पूरा देख करके उस पर भी डिसीजन लिया जाएगा। उस पर पॉजिटिव बात हुई।
उस पर पॉजिटिव बात हुई है। कोई टाइमलाइन बताया है कि कितना टाइम लगेगा, कितना समय लगेगा इस चीज़ को रेगुलराइज करने में और सस्पेंशन हटाने में?
कोई टाइम लाइन फिक्स नहीं हुआ। अभी ये लोग जो बिल आ रहा है वो बिल के लिए कंसंट्रेट हैं। बिल का पूरा हो जाए उसके बाद फिर हमारी नहीं और भी फेडरेशन का है जिसके लिए बोले कि सबको पटरी पे ला देंगे।
Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.